What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Tacos Fast 40, where we take a look at. Yeah, there we go. Like the music. Where we're taking a look at this week's NASCAR Shriners 500 at Phoenix. We are back to racing, kind of normal, Taco, not really, but we've come off of a couple of road race. We had a plate race, and now we got the normal vehicle. We're only turning left, but it is a shorter track.
Yep, it's a championship preview. So a lot of teams with championship ambitions will want to lock in this week and get ready for the championship race. It's going to be here at Phoenix.
Getting prepped for it. There is a big twist to this week's race that really is a difference maker. Tell me about the tire situation. You got optional tires. Take one tire, take a different tire. It's all about strategy. Tell me about it, Taco.
Yeah, so we've got the option tire available this week. We saw it at first at North Wilkesboro last year, and it definitely led to some really interesting results there. And then we saw it again at, I believe it was Iowa. So we see, or it was Richmond. Sorry, the second Richmond race. They added the option tire. So the primary tire that they'll be using, or the prime tire, the yellow tire, that's the standard tire that we've been using for like the last year at places like Richmond, Martinsville, New Hampshire, the short flat tracks like this one. So that's about as it's been. But then you've got that red option tire, and you'll see in the practice times much faster off the board, like way faster, but the fall off is much more significant. Should mix up the field more than anything. And of course, strategy is going to come into play big time. Everyone's going to want to save a set of those option tires for the end of the race. So we got that going on.
So they have certain numbers of each kind of tire, first of all. So they got to make a decision when to use it. And what you're saying is the big difference between the two tire types is if you go to the option tire, your car is rocking a little faster right off the switch, but as the run extends, it drops off faster. You're falling behind. So it's going to get interesting with strategy out there today.
Yeah, because the problem with the next gen car so far has been the lack of passing at short tracks. So they've introduced this as a way to really get the field mixed up. You might see some guys take option tires earlier than others. They start shooting their way up the field. It's going to be interesting, especially with like the big fall off, because you might get a guy that flies out there up in front, and then towards the end of a long run, he's falling way back.
There we go. It is a weird one. We have over 300 laps. So Dominator points back in play in a big way. Let's fucking go. Right?
Yep. 312 laps to make 500 kilometers. It's really interesting race name there. The Phoenix Shriners Children 500 kilometers in America, gross, right? But you can see from the trends here clearly the pole sitter is fucking awesome here. Always has been.
What is this European bullshit about kilometers? This is
America. I don't know what a kilometer is personally.
We're in America, Taco. Putting numbers up there in kilometers, unacceptable. Unacceptable. But that's okay. We'll have that discussion with NASCAR later. In the meantime, we're going to take a look at the DFS Army the research station for NASCAR. We're going to take you through how to use this to figure out what's going on in a race, as we always do on the Fast 40 show. And this is one of my favorite tab, the DK average by start. Important tab, guys.
Yeah, I got my eyes on number one. I mean,
yeah, you see traditionally what has happened. You know what? Let's get my Uggo face off the screen. Let's make this big so we can see what's going on here. So you see here what the average scores are based on starting position, and every race and every track is different at NASCAR. That's why we always do video breakdowns. If it were all the same, we wouldn't have to do this, Taco.
And this has been, the opposite trend that we've seen the first three tracks. We started with two super speedways, stacking the back of the guys in the rear, scoring more. Then you had the road course with the limited number of laps, kind of more of an even spread, but still the place differential guys would score well. Here, there ain't really no place differential. If you're starting in the back of the field, you are going to get lapped a lot. You can look at the average number of laps completed. Up top, you're going to, like, the pole sitter has finished every lap here. in the last 20 races, which is wild. But as you go down the field, you start seeing like when you're in the 30s, you're averaging like 270 laps completed out of 312. It's really steep. Like, these guys are going to get lapped and lapped often.
Now, if you're a great car in the back, that's a different story. You probably
there are a few.
won't get lapped. But the thing is here, and Taco, this is really important to understand. There's only so many points you can get as a play stiff guy relative to what a dominator can get in a track. Like if you get 100 laps led, for example, that can be 20 points just from laps led, some fast laps, and you can get a 30, 40 point edge by leading a bunch of laps. And there are plenty to go. There are 3 baskets of 100 to potentially go around here. So you need those dominators.
There's an issue. If you look at the averages by 4 starting positions, if you look, 33rd on back, they're hitting 30 fantasy points at an 8 and 4% clip. That is unacceptable.
Yeah, like, horrible.
Not even getting 30 point, like 40 points. They're hitting it at 3%, 1%. Like it's almost unplayable. These guys in the rear, they do nothing.
Certainly the turds in the rear, right?
And it shows that qualifying is definitely more indicative of your speed here than at a track where, qualifying, the guys from the rear can come up through like we've seen, especially at like this super speedways, but even at other tracks here, the good cars are going to qualify up front and the shitty cars are going to qualify in the back.
Another important thing to note here is this vehicle, this track is nothing like the tracks we've seen so far in the 2025 NASCAR season. If you're of the mind that, oh my gosh, this guy or that guy has been looking great this year, let's tail that. Don't. This is different.
Yeah, we're in the short track package this year for the first time, kind of similar to the road course package, but obviously, an oval is not going to run anything like a road course. So this is, the first like real test of skill that we've got for the season. It should be a great litmus test of who's going to be good at the short tracks moving forward.
All right, let's jump over to the historical. This is another important tab on the domination station where on the research station where you can see what lineups won in previous seasons and kind of get a sense of like what the dynamic and the math was going on screen. So let's just look at the last race here, Taco. To the point of what you were just saying, kind of what we were talking about, this was a bit of a studs and duds approach where you had Logano, who started second, finished in first, so was just an early starter, but he was the guy that led a lot of laps. That put him in the monster score category. If you're going to lead 100 laps, as I was just saying before, you are going to score massive points. Christopher Bell started 7th, got his way up to the lead, led for 143 laps, finished, right? Then you have Ryan Blaney, who's just awesome at this kind of track type. But in this race, you had 2, 7, and 8. So you had 3 top 10 starters in the nuts. Really only one, or these 2 place diff
probably
guys.
Two in the nuts, right? Because you look at these guys' names, like you can't afford all these guys together. So you would have need to found probably like a Noah Gragson, a Chris Buescher, Daniel Suarez. Like you need salary is going to be massive this weekend. You'll see that there's a severe lack of value, especially down low. Could certainly come into play here. So you're going to need like a punt to come through with like a 30, maybe 40 point fantasy score. So like the Gragsons, Gilly,
Josh Berry. Yeah, these were the guys that probably were obvious. Like a Josh Berry was probably a pretty chalky guy starting 39th. And Gragson probably not. I mean, Gragson's a surprising guy here in this one. But let's go to the next one. You're right. I didn't even observe the fact that they were all pretty damn expensive names. So even Bubba,
so that still 2 from the top 10. But you see the 200 lap leaders, and then you have whatever the spring race last year was just full of passing, honestly, and you had a bunch of people leading like even numbers of lap. There's like 4 or 5 guys that led 50 laps.
Oh, here it is. So let's take a look at the second race as we go back last year, and here we go. So once again, you see some recognizable names. There's Christopher Bell again, apparently really good at this kind of track. Leads for these, we didn't see as many laps led, so we got 50 laps lead laps, 54 fast laps for Bell, and here's Ty Gibbs, who's starting in the way backs today. Started up front, led some laps in the nuts probably.
And for this race, you got to point out Christopher Bell, Toyota, Martin Truex Jr., Toyota, Ty Gibbs, Toyota. Tyler Reddick, Toyota. Denny Hamlin, Toyota. All the fast laps went to the Toyotas in this race.
Well, there we go. Toyotas, right? So they were getting those fast laps. D. Ham got in there a little bit. Not quite enough to be in the nuts, but led some laps. And then let's see who the punt was here. Once again, Gilly.
Yeah.
McDowell. Once again, Gilly getting in there. Maybe McDowell. But you do notice, I mean, there's a pattern here.
Starting top 10 too,
yeah. Taco, there's a pattern here where the punts are not really getting it done. No.
The play stiff punts, I
mean, Killer Priest with a 30, that unimpressive. So the pattern continues to play out as expected. Here's the next race back. And again, guys, this is really important to understand what's going on here. So you got Chastain in this one, led 157 laps. That's what got it done for him. Expensive guy back in 2023.
So for this one, Blaney could have pushed him a little harder. It's just Blaney didn't need to pass Chastain to win the race, so he didn't give a shit. He just chilled in second place and just got a free championship.
He didn't even care.
Yeah, they just like, you want to have fun, Ross? Go for it. You'll lead them all.
You know what's interesting, though, Taco? Once again, man, you got to scroll down to find the punts. Almirola did okay here. He's kind of a cheapo.
Been like Dylan starting 21st, which is, not a sexy play. I think he's also starting 21st in this one. But these championship races, it's probably more important to look at the spring races than championship races because, in the championship races, the punts are going to stay out of the way. They're not going to be very aggressive. It's very respectful.
All right. So let's ignore that one. Let's go to the next one back, and then that's enough for history. But we'll look at one more here. Here you had Kyle Larson starting on the pole, 200 laps led, absolutely smashed.
Yeah,
you didn't have Larson, you were crying. He was the chalk. Willie B, the second, stud. So definitely two dominators, very consistent here. Guys, double dominator. This is consistent. And then, a punt with Briscoe.
Your classic Harvick. Harvick had like 20 straight top 10s here or something crazy. With him being gone, that's like a free spot for, other people to actually do stuff here. And it's all just the guys from the very top. You have to go down to like Ryan Preece, Josh Berry, Austin Dillon.
These were your punts. Killer Priest. So the nuts, this is rare.
And they're not starting from like the back of the back, they're starting top 30.
Yeah, it's a rare situation in the sense you're going to have to make a lineup that will certainly not have the 5 or 6 highest scoring drivers, but rather a couple that you could afford up top. And hopefully you pick the best punts to make it work. So that appears to be how this came together. Taco, take me through real quick the practice times and what you have gleaned, considering that there's different tires being used and who the hell knows what's going on.
Yeah, so you can see most people started on the primary tire. You can see Larson there started on the option tire, but it's pretty obvious. Like Hocevar also started on the option tire. Like these deep green lines throughout, they have to be the option tire. So you can see where each person took their run. And if you're just looking at the option tire speed, we had guys like Tyler Reddick and Austin Cindric really stand out. Zane Smith. Chastain, Logano, Byron, obviously I put him on the pole, but just overall, you don't want to glean too much into like things like average speed or even just like best lap. I guess best lap will show you who is quick early on in the option tire runs. You kind of want to just scroll around, look at these runs and see who kind of kept their speed consistent without falling off too much. We've seen guys like Tyler Reddick had pretty decent speed in the option tire going in late. Denny Hamlin, had one bad lap, was able to put together a pretty solid overall run. Kyle Larson, of course. It's a really tricky week. And you've got a lot of guys that qualified really bizarrely. You've got like Eric Jones starting up front. You've got like Josh Berry. I mean, we've seen him on the optimal here a few times. Maybe that one makes a little bit more sense. You've got like Justin Haley starting 8th, McDowell starting 7th. Just tricky to look at this week. It's really worth pouring over the laps and just kind of seeing, maybe planning for guys that are better on the primary, planning for guys that are better on the option tire. But you will be able to use the lap by lap data to see, how they each did on the different sets of tires.
You could really tell, like, switch the tire here. Willie here, lap 13, just switched it up, got to the other one. And I think interesting, right?
Yeah. And Group A overall did a little better than Group B. The track conditions were better for the first group and then we're the second.
Taco.
That's also worth taking into account a little bit.
I learned nothing from looking at the practice times just now.
Yeah, well, that's fine. Don't worry, I got you.
I got nothing from it, literally. Talk to me.
Yeah, so what we know is if we're going off of like the option tire speed, the guys with the good runs of those, Cindric, Reddick, Logano, Byron, Larson had good long run speed, Blaney, and Larson especially so because he was in that Group B. Hamlin, not bad, of course. But he's always going to be good at these short tracks.
Why is Hocevar showing up in all these?
Hocevar has been just fast as fuck this year, and it's kind of baity to look at like previous weeks and see what's going on. But he has been qualifying like a motherfucker, and yeah, he had the fastest lap on the option tires of anyone. It didn't really last into the long run, but yeah, he almost seems like borderline playable. But he's starting like third.
I mean,
he's a really interesting guy this year. Like he has made himself known as like he's put himself up front and center this season so far of all the guys.
Yeah, I always like to sort this and look for names that are kind of like, what's he doing in there? Best 10, Austin Cindric's there's some hosts in this house as well. So yeah, that's just really interesting. Ty Gibbs, who's starting in the way backs, driving fast.
Yeah.
Okay.
Was good on the options.
Willie B on top of almost every list here. So
and start on the pole. So I mean, he should be chalk. He's a terrific play. Pole sitter, you saw the trends here, just amazing.
Absolutely. All right, let's jump over to DraftKings screen. Of course, DFS Army subscribers get access to your cheat sheets. This research station for every race. This isn't just Cup Series. You got trucks. You've got Xfinity. F1. Taco, you don't do the F1.
I don't know about F1.
They measure that shit in kilometers too, don't they?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, scared.
I feel like F1. I feel like F1 would be like a kilometers measure, not mine.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Like just vibes like that. But we have that for every single race. Cheat sheets, notes. Brady, Taco, Nilly. NASCAR at DFS Army is like no other thing. We're not even going to show this cheat sheet on this show. We're only going on the research station, so you learn from the tool itself, and plus we keep it behind the wall. That's it, Taco. It's enough. Got to be subscribed. Got to be subscribed. Get in there. Promo code Taco, 10% off the DFS Army YouTube subscription. Now I have another little surprise coming for the sports bettors out there. We're 24 hours away from a big announcement.
Oh, hell yeah.
A sports betting system like no other that you will only make money on. It is a lock button guaranteed winner every week. There will be some spots available. It is going to be limited, what we're putting out there. So ask me about that or look out for an announcement. This is going to be only for our subscribers. So in the Discord tomorrow in my channel, I'm giving you guys a little taste of something to be on the lookout for.
I'm excited.
I'm going to call it Taco. It's a side hustle. It's not even really like betting because every bet is a winner. That's how solid the system that we've just built is. In order to produce it, we have to calculate 4.5 million calculations per second. We had to use freaking AI to make this happen. It's crazy what's coming. So be on the lookout for it. A little taste of what's coming tomorrow. And in my channel in DFS Army. What's that?
I'm gonna try to slide in there. Shit.
Yeah, you're gonna want this, Taco. This will be this will be like another income for you.
Hell yeah.
You're gonna be very excited. You're gonna be very excited. All right. Let's get into page 1 of the DFS Army research station where we see the odds, all the information that we need to make driver decisions. Taco, starting at the very top, we got Christopher Bell. He is
starting 11. Look at the slate overall real quick. All right. Look at the fantasy points, look at the projections, look at the value, and then scroll down. Looking good right now, right? A lot of green. Then we scroll down. No, you don't start. Just scroll down. Yeah, there's it's a pretty tightly priced slate, I would say. So these plays up top, amazing, awesome. Bell, incredible play. constant winner at short and flat tracks.
Wait,
Winner of the last 2 races.
Wait, who the hell's
But
Catherine Leggy?
we'll get there. We'll get there.
What the? You got surprises in here? All right.
Oh, we got some surprises in there. Maybe scroll down a little too far, but yeah.
My God!
The overall theming of this
new
slate,
names.
Yeah, and also compared to last week, we once again see William Byron up top at 10,000, but this time we've got 4 guys above him and even an 11K driver. So with more laps added, we usually do see DraftKings add salary overall across the board. So we're going to go from 3 straight weeks of salary not mattering to, oh shit, I need to save a pretty penny here. So that's what we're looking at here. And Bell is an awesome play. Won this race last year, this spring race, but at 11K, it's kind of like good luck affording him.
You got Blaney, who's been all, I mean, he's got Blaney always finishes second here. Literally,
Blaney is absolutely fucking nuts here. Won a championship here. Like Penske has won 3 straight championships here at this track. It's really hard not to like Blaney, looking like a cash game play. But once again, good luck affording him. 10-8.
Kyle Larson coming in with not the best win. A pretty weak win odds relative to his price point, I would say.
Yeah, he's starting a bit farther back, but I think he's almost certainly moving towards the front. I think it's one of the absolute race favorites here anyway. I would definitely like his odds over taking Bell or Blaney on the sports betting market, because he's got good long run speed. He will be moving up there. Like, sure, Blaney's like a locked in like top 5 guy, but Larson's a win the race kind of guy.
Who's the driver that's best at like figuring out weird tire situations with their team?
Probably the more experienced guys. You're going to want people that can manage their equipment. Blaney, we've seen be really good at managing long runs. Guys like Denny Hamlin as well. Maybe some of the older vets for sure.
Joey Logano, not normally priced this high, but here he is.
Another one.
You look at the track history. He's won here multiple times over his career. Not bad. 8-1 win odds. Pretty damn good, Taco.
Oh yeah, this is just a Penske spot. It has been for a little while now. Logano, winner of the most recent race here, and winner I think 3 times, since COVID. There's a lot to love here. The problem is he doesn't get like a ton of fast laps usually, and his long run speed doesn't look quite as impressive as the other guys. But starting up front, we did see compared to some other tracks, the second place guy really tends to not take the lead from the pole sitter here off the start. So that kind of sucks. And Byron's going to be way, way, way more popular. But yeah, Logano is still going to be a decent overall shot for just the race overall. He just doesn't have that like floor that Byron has from starting in the front.
Yeah. Of course, Willie B, 35% ownership projection, starting up front, going to lead a bunch of laps. And guys, this is a short track. So when you start up front and you kind of take the lead, it's like 50, 60 laps where like you're usually holding it for a while. 30 laps in. I don't know how the tire stuff is going to come into play. Like if you're on the lead lap, if you're Joey Logano and Willie Byron's there, do you take the option tire first, take that shit right off the start? Switch it up, throw a curveball at it.
Yeah, that's going to be a concern. That's why you have to have a more conservative projection with the lead laps here, because they're averaging like 97 lead laps overall for the pole sitter here. With this option tire, someone might take it early and just fly their way up and then take the lead from, and then eventually have to give it back when they bleed away and the tire wears.
They all kind of act like they're gonna. They all kind of act like they're gonna put the long distance tire on first, and then Joey Logano puts his thing down, flips it, and reverses it. Puts the option on there.
The problem is it sets you up for it's not very good for like the end of the race. I think most people are going to be thinking about the end of the race because no one really cares about leading at first. Only people that are playing fantasy care about that. So I think most teams will opt for the primary tire to start off with. So Byron should be somewhat safe still, but of course, that pole sitter advantage isn't going to be as big here as we've seen in years past. But even then, we saw great long run speed from him. Like he's just going to be a good overall play on the slate, like throughout the race, and one of the best odds to win it.
I love it. I think there's an argument to be made for all in on Willie B. So I'm not going to make that argument, but there's an argument to be made for it based on what we've seen from pole sitters here. And the fact that Byron is awesome at this track.
Yeah.
Like it's a double thing. It's not just like, oh, it's some random pole sitter. No, it's probably, you know, one of the guys who would be favored even if he was starting 15th or 17th. Like, he's just been awesome here. So, you know, there's an argument for it. I'm not going to say to do something or not, but I could see someone who's only making 20 lineups just putting that guy in every single lineup and saying, that's how I'm going to attack this thing.
Yeah, I think I would be more inclined to fade him. Like the usual Phoenix race, this is like, you know, this is savory, this is juicy, but with the option tire in play, fading him is going to be more lucrative, I think, especially if he ends up being like up in the 40% ownership range. Dude, just hard to tell. If it was like a Bell starting first or something, maybe it'd be more popular, like a Hamlin or a Larson starting in first. They'd be like really giga chalk, and I'd be very inclined to want to fade them. Byron's been a little bit more conservative with his ownership, but yeah, he's like a good play on paper. But I think for GPP, I like fading him and just hoping things get really shifty off the rip.
Could be. The problem is when you fade him, you're still wrong with whoever else you chose. You might just play.
Hey, we ain't never wrong.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So might as well just play him and hope that that's right, because you fade him. Oh, I'm so right. And then you still lose.
We could still lose the lead off the rip and just have great long run speed throughout the race and just be awesome and win. Like you're going to win this more off of who the guy that leads 150 laps is, maybe not just off of who gets that first chunk of lead laps like a lot of places. But qualifying here has historically been really, really correlated to how well people run just overall. It's kind of one of those tracks. So Byron's going the best cars. He was able to put it up front. He should be up front all day.
Yeah. Guys, if you're watching on YouTube or Google or X or wherever you are, smash that like button. Make sure you got a subscribe going on this YouTube channel. We got DFS content coming out nonstop. We got basketball content. We're bringing out some PGA content starting maybe as soon as this week. A little video action. Got the NASCAR breakdowns every week. Best ball is coming to the channel here or so. Masters around the corner. There's nonstop DFS action, MMA. Can't forget about the MMA team, the UFC crew. What else is going on this time of year?
Bro, screw that late fight cancellation. It ruined all my lineups last night.
You know, how about, you know, don't get me started on it. Don't get me started on the two decisions that really kick me in the balls. That's how UFC goes.
I heard the slate was boring as hell too.
I won a lot of bets last night though, which was cool for the UFC action, and that was awesome. So we have a lot going on here, but you got to be subscribed to the channel, notification bell, go to YouTube, hit that subscribe, all that good stuff. And then of course, if you're not subscribed to DFS Army, what are you, crazy? Now is the time. Everything's happening. Promo code TACO. Credit Taco. This man has children to feed. He's got mouths to feed, people.
You may hear him in the background. They're a little rowdy.
Mouths. It's children that are hungry. Promo code TACO. Sign up at DFS Army. Get the full VIP, so it covers every sport that we do. I don't know what else to say. And then you'll be in my channel tomorrow when I make the big announcement for the side hustle scheme that will pay you 10x. You will never lose. It's pretty impressive stuff. Sports betting side hustle. All right, Denny Hamlin.
Yep, if you were to go over to the track types tab, you'll see that Denny Hamlin, by far the best. Not by far. Him and Kyle Larson are just a step above the rest of the field at short and flat tracks in the next gen car. And it's last year especially. Denny Hamlin had a pretty underwhelming season overall, but at the short and flat tracks, he was just there. He was the man. Like that. This is where he makes his heyday. So he's had a pretty rough start to the season so far. It's been really underwhelming, but coming to this track type, people are really starting to sleep on Denny Hamlin.
Denny got
this is kind of like a wait and see thing here. His odds aren't looking very good compared to how they usually would be, right? I mean, the practice times are like fine. He was in the worst group along with Larson, but put up, decent speeds overall. Looked all right in the option tire. So we'll have to see. This is like, this is kind of just a big, we're gonna see how everyone's doing kind of race. Like there's still a lot of unknowns out there. But Hamlin is a very interesting one with him like suing the sport and everything. There's a lot going on over in that camp, and I think people are sleeping on him a little bit.
No, he got a big head after he did that Netflix show, man. It all went downhill. It all went down. Yeah, it all went downhill. But yes, clearly,
20 years of never winning a championship will do to him, man.
Yeah, he's losing it. Him and I think Busch had that last year, and now he's coming back around. He's gaining his sanity back. This is an interesting tab, Taco. And one of the things we like is like versus their average, to see like who. None of these guys like really excel specifically in short flag. It's kind of like good also all the time.
The guys that
you get to Josh Berry here, and it's like, hey, wait a second. Okay, he's
we saw that name in the optimals how many times?
Yeah. Chase Briscoe, a little better at this type of track. I forgot about that.
Yeah, and he's in Truex's car right now, so he's going to be a really interesting play that we'll get to.
And now we understand why Jeremy Collier is going to be overloaded with Killer Priest, because Priest is another guy that he's in the perfect spot, and he excels at this type of track. So that is really, this is where we want to find. And Gilly, of course, who we've seen in the nuts so many times. Is he even driving this year?
Yeah. He's in Michael McDowell's car now. And then most of these guys make sense. These guys come from a short track racing background. They excel in this sort of stuff. They're the great value Dick Trickles here.
There we go.
So they're usual names that you see. Do a little bit better here. It's not there aren't as many, ringers as there are like road courses or what have you. But you've got your guys.
Makes Hamlin an interesting choice. I think when it comes to pay up options, your eyes are going to go to Blaney. They're going to go to Byron on the pole. We can only afford two of them. You're going to go to Byron on the pole. You're going to go to Blaney, Christopher Bell. So Hamlin, I think, will go a little under the radar, 20%.
Yeah,
looks like
it's his track history here is the issue. He hasn't had a finish better than 8th in the next gen car here. So
fair enough.
Yeah, his ownership should be pretty relaxed, but we also see his odds and his price being a bit relaxed compared to other track types of this kind.
That's where this is where you take a shot on on a wager here, 13-1. Under the radar, Danny Hamlin. But yeah, the win odds are not great here relative to his price point and a starting position, which is outside of the lock button. He's gonna have to lead lap. Whoever we have, who are basically, again, let me clarify. If you're paying something with a 9 or a 10 in front of it for a driver, and they don't lead a bunch of laps, you can forget about nuts. You're not getting them.
No nuts.
No nuts for you. That's it. That's how it's going to go. Chase Elliott, he's starting 6th. It's again weird starting spot. It's horrible in practice. 10-1 win odds, nondescript. 17% ownership, the lowest ownership pretty much of the expensive group. Why do people hate Chase Elliott so much?
He's another guy that used to be really good at this track. Just in the next gen car, the finishes have absolutely not been there. The practice times looking kind of crappy, but his odds got better overnight, probably just from qualifying up high. He's not going to be a very popular play, I don't think, in this spot. I think the other Hendrick cars are going to be highly considered over him.
Sneaky. GPP sneaky. I'll give him that. That's about it.
His finishes at this track type last year, you look at it, they're pretty good. It's just that this track in particular, he's been struggling a little bit. That's all.
Not bad, though. I mean, it's nothing. Listen, if he gets to the lead, he gets to the lead. If he leads some laps and you don't have him, you're done. It's
starting up there.
You got to get the 2 guys that lead laps. I'm thinking 2 dominators here, forced Taco.
For sure.
Right? You got to have 2. Reddick, again, same thing as basically Elliott in a lot of ways. He's starting 9th. Weird place. Kind of a strange starting spot, 9th. Low ownership projection overall at 19%. Decent projection overall. 8. Win odds are very good. I would say better than his ownership. What do you think?
Yeah, so he's someone that stuck out a little bit in practice. He had the fastest short run speeds on the option tires of anyone, which is kind of interesting. This is not someone you'd think about at a short flat track. This is not his track type. He's definitely more of a intermediate track king. He's probably the best at intermediate tracks right now. So he's gonna slip under the radar. I guess his speeds with the option tire is a little bit interesting, but outside of that, the odds are fine. They're looking, pretty. He jumped up a bit overnight with like the practice and all that, but it's still just an awkward kind of play, just not his track type.
Weird starting point, and right below him you have Chase Briscoe, who's quite good at this. He's actually priced up for the track type.
Mm-hmm.
I guess good on you. Does FanDuel also do that, or is that a DraftKings specific thing?
That's a this year specific thing because he's now in Martin Truex Jr.'s car, and he would be priced around here if it was Martin Truex Jr. So we've seen Chase Briscoe and Stuart Haas equipment do really well here. We saw him in the nuts multiple times, coming back from like the 20s and 30s and finishing like towards the top 10. He's won here before. And yeah, with JGR equipment, which we've seen be really dominant here in the past, starting 30th, with the speed is there too. It's just he had a terrible qualifying lap. It's whatever, he fucked up. But yeah, he's going to be a super popular play this week, even at a price that just doesn't seem right for him. Because as bad as place differential is, typically he's actually got like a lot of upside to go with it.
This is a challenging situation because if you pay $9K for a place diff guy, and that's what he probably is, you're giving up a potential dominator and lead laps. Yep. I guess the one thing going for him is this is a guy that has an opportunity to get to the front, but interesting play, a lot of place diff upside there. Good at this track type. 21-1 win odds is pretty cool too if you're looking for long shot bets. So that one's an interesting one for sure. And he's going to be super popular, Taco. Is this a cash play that's probably not great for tournaments?
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking, because in tournaments you're really going to want to heavily attack the guys that lead the laps. I just don't really see that out of Briscoe, even if things get really crazy. But yeah, it's just a unique opportunity. This is really just there are a lot of people that were just looking at this race and just are curious to know how good they're going to be. This is like the spot for Briscoe. I guess the Clash as well. People had very high expectations for Briscoe, and he kind of failed there. But this is a true test at a place that he's won before in. Going from that, mid-tier equipment at Stuart Haas to top-tier equipment in JGR. This is time to see what Briscoe's really about.
Put up or shut up time for Briscoe. His track type, the vehicle is great. The starting point is from the back. But again, it's going to be challenging for anybody who's this price. He's like I wish he was like 8,600. That little bit of extra make me feel a little better about a pure play stiff guy, especially with other better play stiff guys that are cheaper, which we'll see in a minute. So we'll get to that. Another cash game style guy here, Ross Chastain, starting 24th. I don't know, 21-1, basically same win odds as Briscoe.
Yeah, he's won here in 2023, right? It's just the practice times weren't crazy at all, and he's just in an awkward spot. And again, these guys, Briscoe and Chastain, they look great on paper. It's just affording these guys means dropping a dominator, and we really don't have cheap dominator options this week unless you think there's some hosts in this house or something.
There's no host.
Josh Berry's going to pop off. Yeah,
very maybe, but there's no host in this house. I want everybody to keep thinking back to the first segment we did, or the second segment we did on win position guys, and remember what those top scorers all look like. It was always the dominators. You needed the lead laps when you paid up, and you could not afford. There were other higher scoring play stiff guys. You could not afford them in your lineup. So it's play stiff pay ups, a middling guy who you get lucky with, like a Bowman. We'll get to those guys, and then you'll need to find the right punts. But there are some amazing play. I think the fact that we have these great play stiffs cheaper are going to negate names like Briscoe and Chastain from at least being popular. I actually think they'll be less popular. If people are doing this right, they'll be less popular than what your ownership projection is. But maybe they won't be.
I don't think people are going to do it right, but
you probably
will see, because optimizers are still going to love place differential plays as they often do. And I'm more happy to just sit back and just see what happens with like a Briscoe. But yeah, these guys, I guess they both compared to the other place differential guys, have more like, they can lead the race type upside. Like, obviously, both of them have won here before. Briscoe, what does he average? Briscoe averages 19 lead laps at Phoenix in the next gen car. Ross Chastain averages 26. So I think that's what makes them playable, at least, and not like just big fades to leverage against the field, because they do have that upside mixed in, and this field is going to get shaken up with the different tires.
Yeah.
But
you know how it works
again,
out,
it's going to be hard to actually fit these guys in, is the thing.
It can work out. You could see from 30th place, Chase Briscoe having a career day and just leading laps somewhere halfway through, and you're like, how the fuck did he get there? And then he's just there. And so, but I mean, that's not super likely at 21-1. So it's not super likely. I think it's less likely than maybe what the ownership will be. And again, I think Chase Briscoe has a great run and awesome, and he finishes 5th, and that might not be the nuts. That probably isn't. Mm-hmm. That's what's so crazy about the way that the math works out for this one. So just be aware of it. Kyle Busch has weirdly high win odds.
They jumped overnight. Yeah.
What is going on there?
Look at his finishes last year at this track type.
Horrible.
That's a wow. Look at his finishes at this track recently.
Horrible.
I don't know what to make of it.
He's got his mojo back. You got to throw out.
Hot. Yeah, he's been hot this season. Last week he looked mad fast in technically this package. So I think that has a lot to do with this.
Taco, did you hear what he said?
Yeah.
He said, my kids think I'm just some guy who loses. I'm sick of that. Because, they're little.
He broke a streak of like winning every year for like 15 years. His kid, wakes up, gets his free will at whatever age, and is like, hey, wait a minute, my dad don't really be winning these races. He just be fighting Stenhouse.
Yeah, like why is my dad punching people all the time instead of winning races? That's what's going on. And he's like, yo, fuck that. So he switched it around. He's like, I'm gonna start winning again. He's got his mojo back. It's a whole different guy. There's no reason to like Kyle
he had
Busch.
No mojo. Like, he had no bitches last year. No bitches.
No, he was saying things that were like
bitches.
No, he was outwardly saying things like, I suck now. Like, he was just, mentally
you
shot.
Could tell all year his attitude was just fucked. So definitely a bounce back year for him, I think.
You know who else had that happen to them?
Austin Dillon, his teammate.
Yeah,
100%. No bitches last season.
I think it was Chase Elliott when he came back from the injury and he could not get.
That's a good point.
Yeah. All right, KB, I don't see any reason to play him, but that means he'll probably win this race and dominate the whole fucking.
So, that was last week in a nutshell.
Yeah, I mean, okay, right. Next up, we got Chris Buescher. He is starting 13th, as nondescript as can be. 36 horrible win odds. What do you say, Taco?
Yeah, he's just going to be like your single entry, get different kind of guy. 3 straight top 10s here is like fine, but he doesn't have dominator upside. As we're thinking, like a Kyle Busch would have like a dominator upside. Chastain, Briscoe also. This is like the first guy that we've talked about so far that doesn't really have dominator upside.
You're not winning with this guy starting 13th if he doesn't dominate. So unfriend you. Hold on. Wait a minute. I should have that prepared. This is my bad. This is on me.
Doris. Where's Doris?
God damn it, Doris.
I unfriend you.
Thank you. Ty Gibbs. Now, this is the opposite of Chris Buescher. Taco, the guy is starting 34th, and he's awesome at this fucking track. He's finished 3rd once.
Yeah. Well,
his
finishes.
Hold on. I'm just going to show that. Not that one. I don't care about this. What I care about is track type. Oh, find the tab. He was not bad at this, right? Yeah, he's getting a boost. Short flat, little boost. Oh, little. Where are we? Short flat. Oh no.
Yeah,
he gets an A. All
right, I would say he has ran way better. I'd say he's ran way better than he's actually finished. He's been like, the finishes are not indicative of where he's been running at this track type.
All right. You know what? I'm going to go back to the tab where I did see his name a lot, and that was here, where he was having some pretty good long run speed. And there's Ty Gibbs, best 10 laps, 3rd overall. So I did have a memory of something. Sorry. Continue.
Yeah, he was not bad in the option tire whatsoever. But yeah, he's had just a really bad run at these track types. Like, he is not a 20th, 30th place guy, but his finishes make it seem that way. He's got, if you go to the average position versus actual finish tab, just it's not a tab, like all the way on the right on the research station here, you can see his name light up in green because he has ran way better than where his finishes are.
Guys, there's so much going on this research station. Taco's got tabs and columns here that I don't even know about, but I'm telling you, this is the single most powerful tool in existence. If you want to research, do your own. We're showing you on screen as we break this down why this sheet is so elite. No one has anything like this to work off of. Taco, this is why DFS Army NASCAR is really the most dominant sport that we have as a group. I mean, there's no other sport where you see more DFS Army helmets taking down tournament. Our other sports are awesome, but this one in particular is a significant edge just because of all these spectacular tools that are in play for our NASCAR team. No one's given it this much effort, and it's why it does so well and why the members do so. It's my most profitable sport. And, I'm just a kid from Brooklyn who never watched NASCAR until Taco told me about it. So there we go.
Yeah, we do crush it. Yeah. That the average position versus actual finish thing, just the more green you see, the more sneaky the play is, really. It's how I like to put it. That's how disguised the finishes are. So I think Ty Gibbs definitely due for some regression in these finishes, these tracks, certainly starting in the rear. Now, the guys starting 33rd and back, they had just historically horrible fantasy point scoring trends, just awful. They're hitting the optimal, like they're hitting 40 fantasy points like 30% of the time or something.
But you need the combination of salary, and play stiff in order to make it work.
Yeah, and you also need, being in a JGR Toyota also helps a lot. So that's the one good thing that these guys do have, despite starting in the rear. You've got Ty Gibbs in a JGR Toyota and Alex Bowman in a Hendrick Chevy. So it makes them more playable than your average place differential play. However, I do think it will be overowned. I do think it's probably still worth it to not spend even over 8K, right, for a place differential guy. So I think Gibbs is probably even more of bait than like Briscoe or Chastain are, because he doesn't really have that lead the race upside that those guys have. And he's going to be super duper fucking popular. I think going under on these guys is the move.
Interesting. I mean, they're teetering on the edge salary wise. Let's see if there's any other plays further back where we could save some money and kind of get a similar result. But I think Ty Gibbs is a good play. But, at 40% owned, is it a great play? I don't know that anything's ever a great play when they're 40% owned and it's NASCAR. We'll talk about the carnage levels in when we get through this. But, this isn't Daytona here. There's not going to be much carnage, or the carnage will be less than usual. So, just height, but certainly the ownership. He's a great play. Will score well for sure, but at 8,200 with that level of ownership, there's a little bit of risk there. It sounds like we have the same exact play with Bowman here at 7,800. I don't even know. They're kind of the same play. I think Gibbs is maybe a little bit better driver than Bowman, but I mean, it's pretty much the same shit now.
Bowman is a much safer pick here, but he has less upside than Ty Gibbs, I would think, is the way to look at it. He was also pretty shitty in practice. We didn't really see much from him. I think Bowman is even more big, because I think with people desperate for salary, he's going to be the most popular play on the slate. And I would love to be under on him and hope he is just really mid or gets lapped or something. 50-1 odds are not striking me very much. I'd much prefer to go down to like this next range and just find some guys that people are going to be off of that are going to stay on the lead lap.
I mean, it might be, yeah. So let's talk through some of that. I mean, Keselowski, I don't think there's
it's just leverage,
Kez does not a good.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sorry.
The only thing I've got going with Keselowski here, just one up, and then we're going to get down to these other names, which are going to be. I mean, you have some lower owned. I see some targets here that look amazing. But with Keselowski, I don't really see much going on there, other than he's really good. He's known for his kind of pit strategy stuff. Maybe he could be good at the tire strategy, because that's like Keselowski's like a sneaky guy.
He's a schemer. Yeah. He was all right in practice. He looked perfectly fine. He's just a nondescript play. Just strikes me as one of those, like, I want to get a little bit different kind of guys.
Yeah. Josh Berry. So under you had your play stiff guys that look super attractive. Then here's Josh Berry, unowned, who's been actually really good at short flat tracks in particular. He's starting in a very nondescript spot, but man, I have watched enough NASCAR to know every once in a while a guy like Josh Berry starts fourth. We're all like, fuck that guy, unfriend you. Doris shows up, and then he just hangs around, and all of a sudden he's in first place for a little bit, leads 20 laps, but finishes in fifth place, and you're like, whoa. He was cheap, and he ended up just hanging around the whole time. And there he is with a 39, and that was good enough.
Yeah, and he's Penske affiliated too. And we've seen, obviously, Logano be really good here. Blaney be fucking elite here. Back in the day, Keselowski was pretty good here with Penske. So, got, Barry and then even Cindric also are some guys I think have a lot more upside than it would seem when you first glance. And Barry, I mean, no one improves more at short and flat tracks than Barry. The concern with him, obviously, is the practice times are shit.
No, he's starting fourth. That's a concern.
And his starting, and his starting spot. He's got those two things very much going against him.
All right, I'm just going to say it like this. If Barry finishes in fifth place or better, look out. All right, that could be enough.
He's not getting lapped.
No, he's going to be. He's got a good car. This is a play you normally wouldn't play. He's 4% owned, but those are the little possible guys. Like it's usually some 5% owned guy or 8% owned that you're like, man, I wish I played him because that was the nuts. So it could I've seen this happen with this type of guy before. Of course, 90% of the time he's just going to finish in 10th and be irrelevant. But there will be occasions where he runs this race and somehow is relevant. Worth a couple of percentage points in your 150 if you're doing 150. Austin Cindric Taco. He's starting 14th. Yep. I don't like it, but he's starting 14th.
I think bad here. Cindric going to be somebody that is going to do a lot better this year than previous years. Like I think he's really starting to get that Penske speed. And I would say outside of maybe Reddick, no one was better on the option tire in practice than Cindric. He was flying. So
starting point
sneaky play here. I would probably use him to pivot off of guys like Bowman, honestly. The starting position just promises that he will stay on the lead lap, which is great. Like getting lapped here fucking sucks. If Bowman gets lapped, he is going to be terrible.
What is the carnage rates here?
It's like 15 to 20%. It's not much at all. The runs are going to be long. There aren't very many wrecks. People are going to get put laps down is the thing. So the guys starting in the 30s, we've seen, average like 15 laps down or something.
That's insane. That's a disaster. So, and long runs, no fall off. God forbid you got to change the tire. You use the option tire first. I just thought of it. I'm doing strategy. Use the option tire first, and you got to go in and change a tire before everybody else.
Yeah, and then you're down one set for the end of the race. Like, that kind of sucks.
Yeah, you're finished. So, Cindric, sneaky play, Lolo owned, and pretty good at this kind of track. Bubba Wallace is not somebody I normally think about when you say short, flat tracks, just for me. Finishes are not terrible, I guess.
Like, he's just kind of riding around. He doesn't have, like, the upside. He'll be fine. He'll move forwards a bit. He's playable, certainly. Just not really jumping off the page by any means. But I mean, the plays after him get so bad, you might need to be playing like a cheap, price-reduced Bubba Wallace. Or just
we're about to get to the point. I don't think we're playing these guys. We're about to get to the point of where we're going to have to get in bed and we're going to need some of these names under 7K. You can't play studs without duds. That's not how NASCAR works. The salaries don't come together. It's usually 2 studs, a mid, and 2 under 7K guys. And we've already seen that there's a lot of 8K sort of play stiff guys that are going to be very attractive. They're going to try to suck you in. We don't need to do that. So Suarez is really probably the first of that group. High ownership. People love Suarez here, starting 31st, getting the discount on the price point. What do you think?
Yeah, I think this is where a lot of people are going to try to save some money at here. His odds are shit. His practice times are shit. But, I mean, his results here, 10th, 11th, 13th, like, solid enough. He'll probably go from, like, 30th to, like, 20th and just, put a okay score. But it's probably just, like, a necessary evil because, again, The plays down here are just few and far between.
There are a few though.
Yeah,
there are a few. There are some. Carson Host in this house, starting third, but spectacular in every measure.
Mm-hmm. So that's on the inside line too, which is nice. Yeah, I think he's going to run a lot better than what we're used to seeing from him. Right? It's just starting third. Ugh.
It's going to be tough to play him, but again, if at that price, if just here's the only argument for him is at that price, if he holds a top 5 spot at that price, that is enough scoring to potentially get you there. And oh my goodness, what if you see Hocevar leading 20 or 30 laps along the way?
Yeah.
It will be all over but the crying. We saw Josh Berry do stuff like that last season a few times.
Yeah.
Ken Caniff says Host has no friends.
Aww.
That's just like a personal insult.
That is true because everyone fucking hates Carson Hocevar right now. He's
does he have like a hot wife or something? Is that why?
No. He's been driving like a fucking dickhead all season long. He does not give no fucks. He's like Ross Chastain on steroids so far in his career.
Nice.
Which is great. Like at a track like this, you might not want to have enemies like that, but he's been able to make it work so far.
Listen, fine by me. No, all right. So our next two guys are, I'm going to call these your alt play stiff plays, right? A couple of them that we want to get on that all have kind of potential similar to the other ones, but for a couple grand less. Noah Gragson first, 250 to 1. Not the best win odds for Gragson.
Those odds
getting some ownership though.
Shit. But I mean, he ran well in Stewart Haas equipment last year. Finishing 12th here in both of the races. Very impressive, right?
He was in the nuts, dude. This was the name that kept coming up.
Yeah. So I like him a lot over like a Suarez just off the ownership here. Not something that people really think of or see. The odds are shitty. He's in that third front row car, which is, definitely more of a back row car. But
yeah,
there's still something to like here.
He gets no respect. But playable, starting 33rd for sure. Again, also risk of being lapped, although he seems like he seems like the kind of, his history has been like, he's pretty good at this. He doesn't normally get lapped, but you'll see. Killer Priest is another name.
That risk. Yeah.
Killer Priest was one of the best guys on the track type. Let's go again. Make sure I didn't misread that. We're talking short flat tracks. We're talking Killer Priest.
Yep.
And he is a 20% improvement on short flat tracks. So that is something we are looking for.
A well-modified guy. Comes from exclusively racing these short flat tracks. This is where he butters his bread.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. So Killer Priest should be super popular.
The new RFK equipment looks solid. He's been quote unquote doing horribly this season, but I mean that doesn't really matter here at this track. The practice times, of course, they kind of sucked, and he's not done well here at this track exactly. Maybe he's better like the super small ones, but I'm still fine with it. I don't mind playing some Priest at all. I like Priest and Gragson here. Hopefully, make me a little different from the Suarez Bowman guys.
It might actually be better to grab a 28th place guy, as if like lower chance of getting lapped. So
his odds are way better too.
Yeah. Let's take a look at bring out Doris for the next two. We're just not interested, or I'm just not interested in McDowell.
I unfriend you.
I don't think that Eric Jones is playable starting fifth.
I unfriend you. I unfriend you.
Eric Jones got a double unfriend you. Doris hates him.
No friends.
Cold Custard, not bad. Starting 23rd. Okay. A little more interested, but unowned. Taco, the guy that's popping for me, no one's playing him. He's just good at freaking racing.
Yeah.
SVG. Yeah. Shane Van Giesbergen at this price.
Yeah, this is an interesting one, isn't it? You saw that debut at Martinsville, right? Now Martinsville is basically just like cornering on a road course just twice in a row, over and over. So that's kind of been more favorable to the road course guys. Like we've seen AJ be really good at Martinsville. So he obviously he's lacking a lot of experience here, but he does have like Xfinity runs, like an entire Xfinity season under his belt at this point. I don't mind the Shane Van Gisbergen play at all.
But we really need a 6K guy. You can't do this without a punt.
Yep, it's super risky. Like he could get lapped hella times. Like we're risking that. But I think there's some upside here in Trackhouse equipment.
Look at this ownership. Where are the punts? SVG 13%. Dinger, another guy who has he's just good at he's good at road, he's good at a lot of things, but starting 16th actually probably negates
short
him
tracks.
From not short tracks for him. Yeah, all right, Doris. Come back here.
Yeah, we need Doris.
Yeah.
I unfriend you.
Justin Haley starting 8th.
I unfriend you.
Riley Herb starting 18th.
I unfriend you.
Austin Dillon starting 21st.
I unfriend you.
Yeah. She's ruthless.
He won this package last year, but it was a little questionable. Those practice times look horrible.
Oh man, Doris is ruthless. She does not fuck around.
10% the front row
Todd
guys.
Gilliland, he's starting 27th, another punt. Did I see that Gilliland gets a little better at, he's had some okay finishes here?
He's not bad,
not bad.
Not really front row anymore now that we're out of the super speedways. They're on the 13th row together. I personally have a lot more interest in Zane Smith. I think he's my play to get different this week. You see his finishes at short flat tracks so far has been dog shit, but
horrible. Why do you like Zane Smith?
Big team change there, and honestly, really good in practice. He was one of the fastest in long run speeds on the option tire. I like it a little bit different, and frankly, he's 5'5", and he's like most people are going to go to John Hunter Nemechek down here. I think John Hunter Nemechek is like the ultimate bait of this slate. Like,
really?
Oh God, no! Why would you want to play someone? Why would you want to play someone starting 36 when we've seen the trends? They hit like 1% of the time. No, absolutely not. He's going many laps down. I think Zane Smith has so much more upside here.
I mean, the win odds certainly reflect that. So the win odds, but yet I don't know why the top 10 and what's this? Why are these numbers different?
Because DraftKings only put up win odds that I could update, so we really just want to focus on those. Okay, those are opening odds. Yeah.
Okay, I was like, what the fuck is this? Okay, and we got the Unfriend You crew. I don't want to talk about any of them except for Catherine Leggett. Catherine? Talk to me.
Catherine on record of saying if she doesn't finish last place, that's a win for her. She's a British girl who's ran, a few Xfinity races.
Is this someone's girlfriend, wife, daughter? How's she here?
I don't know. I think Doge would eliminate her position, but yeah, she's here and she's going to participate in this race in some BJ McLeod equipment, and that's all I'm allowed to say.
She banging BJ?
I don't know. No idea.
Did she get an email last week that was like, name 5 things you did last week? And she was like, I only have to name 1. BJ McLeod. You know what I mean?
No,
I have no idea who she is. But she is hoping to finish second to last.
She wants to finish less than 50 laps down.
We will be rooting for her.
Yeah.
Watching this race. We will be rooting for Catherine Leggett, but we certainly, let me see if Doris has the woman power situation going on. What do you say, Doris? Female solidarity.
I unfriend you.
Damn it.
Absolutely done.
She fucking never relents.
Over a second off the pace. Just happy to be there. We'll hopefully, respectfully just kind of let everyone pass her and just do her thing.
How dare you?
Okay.
She didn't appreciate that. All right, Taco.
Sorry. Yeah, I got.
What about a win pick for this?
Oh, hell yeah. No, I think Blaney finishes second. As much as I like Blaney overall, I think Bro finishes second. For a win pick, hear me out. Now that everyone's sleeping on him, give me some Denny Hamlin.
Okay, 13 to 1.
Pick,
Little 13 to 1 D. Ham action.
I know a lot of people are going to be rooting for Bell to get the 3 in a row, and I'm a huge Bell guy typically, but I don't like picking a race favorite to win.
No,
Come on, get out of here with that. Nah,
Brady would give you
Hamlin while everyone's sleeping on him.
Brady would give you no respect for picking a race favorite. All right, let's wrap it up there, guys. Remember to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. DFS Army subscribers, big announcement coming tomorrow. You're going to want to be in my channel. We're going to give you a way to lock in profits in sports betting every single time. It's going to be spectacular, and I'm going to have a really, really great situation set up specifically for our DFS Army subscribers first and foremost. We've got a big race today, so I want to see those helmets at the top of the leaderboards. Again, if you're not signed up at DFS Army and you want to check it out, I encourage you to use promo code TACO. It takes 10% off any of the subscriptions we have, and it credits TACO.
I love credit.
Yeah. I guarantee you I'm going to make you money, guys, or your money back. That's how it's going to work. It's that good. I'm working on something that is unheard of and unbelievable. So with that being said, good luck today, everyone. Let's crush this race, and let's keep on kicking ass. And as Bill Castle says, we will see you at the top of those leaderboards. Helmets up.
Yeah, helmets up.
Take care, everybody.
See you.
Knowing that diamonds in my teeth, I got a lot of shine.